Hello, everybody. Welcome to some St. Clair Saints League of Legends action. I'm John Bill Bangs. I'm joined by
I'm
Kaylee, K Jappy.
hello.
It's been a long time
It
since we
has,
casted
but
together.
we're back.
We're back finally. So this is going to be the final game of the NACE Star League regular season. It'll be St. Clair College versus our close rivals, University of Western Ontario. And for reference, both these teams are 4-1 right now, and this is the final game of the season. So this game basically determines which team is going to end up making it into the
Yeah,
playoffs.
it's crazy. We just took a look and there is 12 teams, or was it 12 or 13? Something around there.
Oh, I think it was 10 teams
10
at
teams are
four and
4 and
one. Yeah,
1, and there's only 8 allowed in playoffs.
it's four,
So,
four in
oh,
playoffs.
sorry, 4
Yeah,
in playoffs. So it's even
so
it's
it's
even
it's
tighter than we
really
thought.
yeah, it's really close. So it's gonna be a really crazy race, and this series is basically gonna determine which team makes it in. So, and I think both of them 4-1 seasons is really good. The only time
Yeah.
St. Clair lost was against a team that is now 5-0.
Mhm.
So I think definitely a chance for St. Clair to make it into the playoffs here. Hopefully make a deep run going further in, but they're gonna have a tough competition here because Western historically has been very good. Obviously, last couple of years haven't been nearly as good as they were, but I mean, still 4-1 record. They have to be pretty good.
Yeah, we're definitely in for a really good match this time, and it looks like we already have Thresh and Kha'Zix banned on the Saint side for Western, and then we also have Aatrox and Talon banned, which I honestly think the Talon is purely because of the Talon jungle meta right now.
Yeah, Talon jungle meta has been very prevalent ever since the last patch, though. It has fallen off a little bit just because Iron Spike Whip got nerfed, so
Yeah,
the jungle clear isn't nearly as good as it was. Still, Talon, a really good jungler, still has insane clear and can speed around the map at
yeah,
speed of light. So I still think he's pretty viable, but
he
I mean,
is. I feel like both him and the Zed jungle are falling off a
yeah,
little bit.
for sure.
But we do see the first pick on the Saints team, and we do have a Yumi. Now, Yumi is a support right now that is so common. She was kind of like here and there a little bit,
Yeah.
like a couple patches ago, but now she's everywhere.
Yeah, she's been very more popular with a lot more teams, and I think the Assassin Jungle meta kind of brought that into existence just because there's such high mobility. So once you get out of the
Yeah.
laning phase, the Yumi doesn't have to stay on the ADC the whole time. You can start hopping onto your jungler, running around, and
Mhm.
when you add so much adaptive force to an assassin, it means it's so much easier for them to end up cleaning up kills and getting out with the
Yeah.
extra mobility. So I think that definitely helped her out. And I mean, honestly, champion pretty easy and pretty broken, so a lot of people can just pick it up and play it without much problem.
Oh, trust me, I already had that opportunity myself. I've been playing her here and there too.
Wow, you're one of those
I
people.
am one of
Okay,
those
I
people
see how it
sometimes.
is.
Listen, if I play ADC and then I don't have a good support, I'm like, you know what? I'll play support this time and I'll show them how it's done.
Makes sense. So the next two picks for Western are going to be Aphelios and Leona. I'm surprised. Oh, I guess I see the Thresh band. So
Mhm.
typically you see Aphelios paired with the Thresh, but they are going to pick up the Leona instead. Both of them doing pretty similar things. Really good engage opportunities for this Leona into this team, and I think especially with the Yumi pick in the bot lane, it definitely means you only have one target really to hit with your CC.
Mhm.
So it means it's a lot easier to try and engage, especially when she picks up that level 6 and can go for a solar flare on the enemy ADC.
I feel like the second that the Yumi is gonna attach to the Viego, that's the Yumi staying on that the
Yeah,
rest of the game.
I
But
agree.
honestly, respectable. Yumi and Viego is the best combination, but the worst thing to fight against because it's so
It's
difficult.
so frustrating to play against. It's so much healing in these
Yeah.
fights, and the fact that he can transform midway through them too is just so frustrating to play against. But I think the LeBlanc is actually going to be very good with Yumi as well. A lot of
Yeah.
adaptive force is going to mean this Aphelios is going to have to watch his back because the assassinators are going to come through, and she's going to provide so much damage with that Yumi on top of her. So really good picks here to pair with the Yumi. No ADC yet. And I'm surprised. I thought we'd see more ADC bans. We actually see 3 top lane bans.
Yeah. That's what I was hearing that a lot of people do tend to target our top laner. Um just
Ricky.
yeah, just
Yeah.
because of like how well he plays on all these bruisers that can just take down literally the entire team without any kind of
Oh yeah.
hesitation.
And we've seen it like in the last series they did lose 0-2 in their playoff run in the other league.
Mhm.
And we saw Ricky struggled in that one. He played Scion top blind and just got smurfed on by Barrack on the Darius. And we saw him the other games just really struggled. So I'm looking for him to try and turn around in this one. Obviously, we see he Western banned 4 of his champions. Like we
Yeah.
got the Aatrox Jax, which is typical for him to get banned. But then we see the Darius and the Mordekaiser as well. So it'll be really interesting to see what he picks up because the top champ pool for Bruises is especially small now.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think the top laner is going to pick this time?
It's gonna be blind. They have a lot of damage. Like you have LeBlanc Viego as
Mm-hmm.
well, and I mean the one thing they're really lacking right now is a front line. So as much as I hate the
Yeah.
fact that Ricky has to blind pick a tank top, I think he's gonna blind pick a tank top. So we are gonna see the Gnar, and I mean I don't mind the Gnar pick. I just think again Gnar is one of those champions where you have to be able to take advantage of those windows of opportunity when he turns into
Yeah,
Mega Gnar, and
for
especially
sure.
looking at team fights like if Western can play around this Meganar and wait till he goes back into the small form, like there is just no front line at all for St. Clair. So I think with good timing, Western with a good engage is going to really make life rough for St. Clair.
Yeah, in my opinion, the way I think this game's gonna go is that I feel like the Jace is gonna be more around top than any other lane because with the Yumi, she can probably just. It's gonna take a while for her to get between bot and mid, but it feels like that would be a good opportunity to try and like get there, get LeBlanc and Ezreal ahead of instead of everybody else, and hope that top lane can just sit back and farm it up and do the classic like just wait until late game and then
Yeah.
I'll pop off kind of thing.
And I mean, for sure, you're playing Ezreal Yumi, so it's one of the safest lanes in the game. This Leona, I feel, is really going to struggle for an engage
Yeah.
because Ezreal can sit back with his Qs and he'll be able to be okay even if they engage on him. You know, he can save himself with the E. So I definitely think they have a really good chance to stay safe. I mean, looking at scaling wise, though, I definitely feel like Western has the advantage. You have Aphelios, you have
Mhm.
Rise. So the later you're going to get into this game, I feel like Western's going to have a lot better chance of taking it. So, I mean, I need to see this LeBlanc roaming early. I need to see them get ahead
For
in this mid
sure.
lane and try and push it because we saw it in the last game that they lost the series, but Zephyros looked really, really good on the LeBlanc. He was the only
Yeah.
person who went positive in that series for St. Clair. So, I mean, realistically, looking at the series, he picked LeBlanc again, and I think he looked really good on it. So I think that's where St. Clair needs to focus their efforts and
Mhm.
try and get him ahead. Because if he can get to that point where he can one shot this Aphelios, one shot the Gangplank, I think this game is going to look a lot better for St. Clair.
I hope so too. Fun question for you though. Out of the Rise and LeBlanc matchup, who do you think is gonna win that?
It really depends. So Rise has a lot of wave clear, especially early on compared to LeBlanc. LeBlanc is really going to struggle to push out waves.
Agreed.
Rise can shove him in, have realm warp available, and move towards the side lane to try and get himself an
Mhm.
advantage. And especially paired with the Jarvan jungle, I think that is going to be really easy dive opportunities, especially because you have the Ezreal. And I mean, Yumi's going to provide healing, but not really any disengage. And you have the Gnar in top, who can be really squishy in the Mininar form. So I think
Yeah.
that's where it might get dangerous for St. Clair. I think the Rise can push out, but I mean, LeBlanc plus Yumi is going to be so much burst damage. So
Yeah,
if
it's gonna be
Yumi can
crazy.
get off of this Ezreal and start roaming with LeBlanc, that's when LeBlanc can make a better impact and kind of, outshine the Rise in that regard.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Honestly, Nar versus Gangplank too. I can definitely see Nar winning that as long as he can play it smart and like just make sure that he can get his ulti form or his mega form
Yeah.
before like hopefully he can waste the Gangplank orange early on so that then the second that he does transform he can just go all in and knock him out easily.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention too, it's a Gangplank top. So like
Yeah.
there is a ridiculous amount of scaling on the side of Western here. So
Yeah.
I think the early game is really going to be an opportunity for St. Clair to push themselves ahead. If they can get LeBlanc or Ezreal ahead of pace, I
Mhm.
think Western is going to put themselves in such a big pit. It's going to be hard for me to see them climbing out of it unless
Yeah.
this game goes, past 30 minutes, past 35 minutes. But if this game goes like past 35, 40 minutes, I just can't see a world where St. Clair can win the game unless they get like some crazy pick and Viego picks up like the Gangplank or Aphelios or something
Mhm.
and goes crazy in a fight. I think that's really their only option when you get that late in the game.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely see the Ezreal being a little bit of a problem, but that all depends as like basically what you just said that they need that early game and they need to play it well in order to be able to do anything later on.
Yeah.
Because Ophelio scales like crazy with building a mortal shield bow, even sometimes Runons I see here and
Yeah.
there. Leona's just gonna tank all the damage. It's gonna be definitely an intense game
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure. And I think the one thing too that Sango's gonna have to be really gonna have to be really careful about is they don't really have a lot of disengage, and you have a Jarvan and you have Leona. Like that is so much engage potential for Western.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to play careful around these objectives and in these chokes, because if you get knocked out by Jarvan, Leona's on top of you, you're not going anywhere. Like you're getting cataclysmed and you're just done. So
Yeah,
I think
for
St. Clair are gonna
sure.
have to be careful around how they play this. But again, like you said, if they can win out the early game, they steamroll this, and there's just no chance for Western to come back. If Western can extend the game past 30-35 minutes, I think that's when the items start coming through for the Gangplank, for the Aphelios, and that's when they really start turning up.
Completely understandable. Plus, the thing that I always hate about Jarvan and Leona, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, I missed the one part of CC." No, there's still more coming up.
Oh yeah.
Just you wait 1 second, and like the second they lock you down, it's not like it's game over, but
It's hard to escape it. Like you
yeah,
need to have flash QSS, heal,
yeah,
cleanse, whatever you're bringing. You gotta spell it, or else you're gonna be done. Because
for
like
sure.
there's so much CC, so much opportunity. Even if you sidestep the EQ from Jarvan, he's got his R. Leona's got the E and the stun and the ult as well.
Yeah,
So there's just so much to dodge. But again, I think a really good pick based comp for St. Clair. I think Viego should probably go top early, try
yeah.
and take out this Gangplank, get him out of the game, because if Narc can start bullying this Gangplank out of lane,
hmm
that's when he can really create opportunities, and St. Clair can try and roll the early game.
Yeah, if as long as that happens, like I feel like Viego is probably gonna be more towards top, like hopefully between top and mid, because
Mhm.
I feel like those are the two people. Ezreal can 100% handle himself as long as the Yumi's with him, at least for the start of the game, just because of the different damage that she adds to him, the healing, all of that. It's probably a simple lane out of all of them clearly. But if the Viego stays around top lane and mid and gets them ahead, then it's most likely going to be game over. I'm assuming if that happens, I would assume that game over is probably going to be like 25 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised. And yeah, we were talking about earlier, both these teams at 4-1 right now,
hmm
both of them fighting for playoff contention. And I mean, for both of them looking forward at the series, it is game one. Both teams still have an opportunity, no matter what happens this one, to play another one. So how do you think both teams will try and play this game number one? And how do you think it'll affect them going into game two?
I feel like they're gonna try and put their all into this first game as like kind of like a scare tactic for
Yeah.
the opposite team. Just that then it's like, no, like we are gonna win this and you're not gonna do anything to stop us kind of
Yeah,
feel.
I was gonna say Claire also hasn't been to. I think they had one series where they were 2-1, but the rest of them
hmm
been just 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 0-2,
Yeah,
2-0. So I feel like it's 100% momentum based in how they
for
play. So
sure.
that's why I'm really scared. If they lose this first game, I just think the second game might be really rough on them. I feel like
Yeah.
you kind of get into this mindset of, okay, like we lost the first one, and I mean, no matter
hmm
how they end up losing it, like the second one's not going to look good. But one other note before I started, Viego right now got buffed
Yes.
in the last patch.
Oh no.
And he got AD ratio buff. He got a movement speed buff, and I think he got
hmm
something else as well.
I
Um,
don't exactly remember.
yeah, but he was pretty highly buffed, and he's been picked like a crazy pick rate in this patch so far. So, um, do you think that's why they prioritized it so much?
For sure, because I actually just remembered after I said I don't. The other one was the 100% crit strike on his
Oh yeah,
ulti,
yeah,
and that is completely a game changer. The
yeah.
fact that he's just gonna be like, "Sorry, I crit you. You're not able
Well,
to do anything
I was
anymore."
gonna say they changed that, but I mean, you still watch how people build them, and a lot of people still really like the Sunder or Bork build. They don't
Yeah.
really go for the crit. So, I mean, as much as
hmm
that this is gonna be an engage, though, we're 45 seconds into game, and this like looks like Jarvan might be dying here in the mid lane. Flash gonna come through. He's gonna barely live. Flash gonna follow from Mihawk. He's gonna be able to get the Q. Does get it. Yumi then claim first blood here in game number one. Nardi St. Clair off to on the right foot.
Amazing. We just mentioned how we need the early game, and we
Yeah.
got it.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what you're looking for. And I mean, 400 gold on Yumi. That's gonna mean she's probably gonna back for a ruby crystal.
Honestly, I disagree. I feel it. Yep,
Dark
there's. I knew
Seal.
it was gonna be a dark seal. Have you
Wow.
not seen this lately? All Yumis have
No,
been
I
either going
haven't.
dark seal and they're not building Moonstone anymore. They're building Ludens.
Just straight AP.
Yep, they're
Oh,
building straight
that
AP
is.
because I can't remember. I feel like she's one of those champions where if you go AP, you do
But
get more healing.
you get more healing, but it also converts better into your actual
Yeah,
adaptive force. So that's why I feel like it's so strong.
yeah.
Because the whole point is you're trying to buff the Viego and LeBlanc, so the more AP
hmm
you get, the better it's going to be. But Gangplank going to be walking into the waiting arms of Gnar here. A little bit of poke damage coming through, but Grasp will help him out quite a bit. But he's already down to like a 2/3 mana, so I definitely feel like Gnar going to have the advantage early on in the lane.
And it looks looks like the Ezreal's going to get stunned by the Leona here. Aphelios is going to try and get off as many auto attacks as he can. Yuumi tried to get the shield on and saves the Ezreal from dying. Thank God.
Yeah, Ezreal with the cleanse instead of the heal, so the cleanse also saved him. But already having to burn flash on the on the Ezreal, definitely not something you want to see early on in this one. That was pretty sneaky from the Leona. She hid in that front bush, waited for the Ezreal to pop into lane, and then started Q. Usually you don't start Q on Leona unless you're going to go hit a ward or something,
Yeah.
but opted to go for the Q, and it was a cheeky little play, caught Barlow unaware, and already a significant advantage in the bot lane.
It looks like the Arise is definitely putting on the pressure on the block right now, as we mentioned about the farm. And Gangplank's going to get some trades off. It's not going to be too bad for Gnar because he can get those really far auto attacks in, and luckily he does have grass. Or, no, he has fleet actually, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, fleet. Ooh, this is going to be an engage in the bot lane though. Fresh going to take a little bit of damage here from this Aphelios, but will be able to back off here. Going to land the stun. Cleanse going to come through for this Aphelios. Aphelios not going to be able to 5 CP coming through as well, but Ehug already going to take out Olan here. Going to transform into the Leona. We'll go for the engage here on Aphelios. So much damage with the CC, and Fresh going to pick up a second kill, and already 3 stacks on this Darksteel for the Yuumi. It's paying dividends.
This is definitely going to be something else. I can already tell.
3 kills in 3 minutes.
I know.
That's so good for St. Clair, and I mean, Ehug already at 102 on this Viego, making his presence be felt here. No, there's a flash still for this Gangplank, so Ricky not going to go for that one, but Gangplank looks like he will be forced to back here. Most likely will have to burn the TP as well to come back in the lane. And already Ricky taking advantage here, but Sephiroth going to be met by Cyber here in the jungle. Will land nothing just yet. Change will land. It's going to be double buffs though. Oh, he's going to miss the EQ though. Sephiroth with a nice sidestep TP going to come down onto this flag though, so Gangplank will be joining this fight. But there's going to be a lot of people here. Yuumi coming up with this Viego onto the Sephiroth now. They aren't. He's going to land the W. Sephiroth going to have to flash out here. So many flashes here. They're going to follow. Chains are going to land onto this Gangplank. Will Orange out of this one. Will try and walk away here. W does not land again for Ehug. A lot of pull coming down. Gangplank going to walk on a turret there. EQ does land though. Sephiroth will be slain here. Cyber one will be traded back here. Ehug going to have to EQ out. Second turret shot not going to come down. Ricky will get the kill, but in the end, it's a 1-for-1.
At least it was a 1-for-1 of all things. It looked like it was about to turn bad for a second, but luckily Viego was able to turn into Jarvan so that he can use that EQ to get out of there.
Yeah,
and it looks like they are going to try and dive the Gangplank, but he already left, sadly.
Yeah, so he's not going to be under turret there, but we already see the power of this Ezreal Yuumi lane, right?
Yeah.
Like, we see 202 on this Yuumi, just following Viego around the jungle, and E already going to be expunged here, so they won't opt to go for a dive, but I mean, that is the power right now. He is kind of forced off this wave, and Aphelios with a pretty big CS advantage early on in this one. But again, Yuumi with 4 stacks on the Darksteel already has the mirror, and looking so good on the support choice so far in this game.
Yeah, for sure. I just like how all of our predictions were just like, hey, we need them to get the early game. We hope that happens, and they delivered exactly what we needed.
I mean, if they want to take this series and make themselves a playoff, that's what they have to do, is deliver on their team comp. And so far, they've done exactly what they need to. So it looks like Ehug going to be staying down here in bot lane, and I expect him to keep shoving into this bot lane. No sums except for the Ignite on the Leona for the Aphelios or the support. So I think definitely when you're looking at bot lane here, Link's no land, just no real defensive attackers right now, especially because it's Aphelios in the early levels. So I want them to keep looking bot lane, keep trying to stack up the Starksteel onto Yuumi, because you can imagine what a 25 Magi stack
I don't
Yuumi
even
is going
want
to
to
look
start
like.
talking about it. I've played against it so many times, and I just sit there like, why is this allowed?
Riot Games should probably remove it at some point, you know.
But it does look like I was wrong about the Yuumi build. They are going to go Moonstone or possibly Shirelia's.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at attaching to a Viego in this situation, I think Moonstone is still pretty good because you're providing with a lot of healing and a lot of sustain, especially after he transforms, because they did nerf that before he got buffed in this patch, a couple patches ago. They nerfed how much healing he gets after he transforms, and I definitely think he's way more vulnerable now. It's going to be engaged in the bot lane here. He's not going to hit for Olan, so Barlow going to go a little bit aggressive here, procs to conquer, but they're just going to be satisfied with the poke they put down. Maybe looking for more though. Olan going to take a lot of damage here and be forced to back off, and both of these bot laners going to have to back up, but Ehug, he's looking for blood here, trying to find these 2 bot laners. Going to go for the W, going to flash for it, will land it. Cleanse going to come through though, will be stun up, rooted up, but he's going to land the Q anyway. Going to transform into the Aphelios here. Gravitum is available, going to go for the root here, but Sephiroth Gonna claim the kill, and again, this bot lane with no sums being taken down by St. Clair. Really good pathing by EHUG results in another 2 kills.
Every single time that they have gone into a little mix-up or a little fight, it has gone beautifully for St. Clair. It looks like they really know what they're doing, and it just shows everybody how much they want this title.
Yeah, 204 on this Viego. He's going to back sometime soon after this dragon that they're going to pick up. And just like we talked about, they have to get ahead in the early game. They're 6-1, 7 minutes into this game.
That's insane. Honestly, these are the kind of games that scare me because it's like, if there's one small mix-up, then it could completely throw the game the opposite way.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it all started with taking out that Jarvan at level 1, right?
Yeah,
you
for
let
sure.
the Yuumi pick up that Dark Seal, and 203 now is able to stack so much AP on that. And, you know, we saw her roaming up with the Viego, made such a big impact in that fight. And, I mean, it ended up being a 1-for-1 in the top lane, but, I mean, as long as you're getting kills, and you're accelerating this early game into their favor. So, level 6 now, or level 7 actually for this Rise does have Realm Warp available. Oh, he's going to go for the engage here, Ricky. Can land a decent amount of poke there, but doesn't opt for the all-in because he doesn't know where the jungler is right now. So EHUG gonna pick up the red buff, pick up his boots as well for free, and I mean, he still hasn't reset yet. I'm kind of surprised. He's gotta be sitting on so much gold.
Yeah, he has to be. There's no way that he doesn't have at least, if he is going crit, then he has to have at least enough for a Noon Quiver for sure. But other than that, like, what do you think he's going to try and go this time? He does have Conqueror.
I think against this team comp, Sunder is probably the better choice. Yeah, so he's going to opt for the Sunder. So? He's not going to have enough to actually buy it, though. Does get the 3 components, but not going to have 700 gold he needs to actually buy it. But, I mean, you are running into not necessarily, like, a squishy comp. Like, this is going to be a dive and ball lane. No, there's 4 people here. Barlow and Fresh. The E is going to be able to get out of that first shot, but dive going to come through anyway. Barlow going to get O-lane in a trade. Ult's going to come out from this Yuumi as well. She will be able to stay alive in the bot lane here. EHUG going to come follow up as well, but looks like they will just walk away. So in the end, it's a 1-for-1 trade and still another stack onto this Yuumi's Dark Seal.
There's only so many attempts you'll have before it's just going to end up being too much to handle, you know?
Flash in the ball lane here. Filio still with Flash available, so we'll be able to walk away. But again, EHUG just demands so much respect, especially with the Yuumi on top of him. 204, almost an item completed here, and is just so far ahead of his jungle counterpart right now. You can't even think about fighting this Viego.
No, you can't, because the second that, if I was in this game, the second I see him, I'm running the opposite way. There's no way that I'm going anywhere near him.
You saw as soon as Jarvan saw him pop out with a W, he had to flash away or else he was going to die there, because if he lands a stun on you, you're just getting bursted down. There's no chance you even have of escaping it. So I think when you're looking at this team comp for Western, how do you try and stem the bleeding? And I mean, to be honest, the 7-2 scoreline is scary, but gold is only 800 difference. So
yeah,
I'm kind of surprised there.
I'm definitely impressed, to say the least. Like, the Rise has been keeping LeBlanc pushed underneath the turret and been able to get all the CS possible. So even though he's not in a lot of fights right now, not really making that much of a difference, he's definitely ranking up that gold to make sure that he stays in a good position the entire time. Because I know the second he gets that item, they're going to be screwed.
And a Realm Warp here in the top lane. It's going to be a 2v1. He will lose that Mega Gnar, and he will go down. Loyal picking up a kill and using that advantage of the push in mid lane to net himself something. But EHUG and Zephyr might have something else to say about this. Chains are going to land. Root will come down here, stun as well. He is going to have to ult backwards, though, to try and save himself, because there's going to be teammate here, Cyber here. No mana, though, so they're going to go for it. Zephyr going to get the auto attack. Will get the shutdown onto the Jarvan as well. Very little HP here in top lane. EHUG going to get Rise there. Will transform. Zephyr trying to walk away, but Calculus is going to calculate that one. Meanwhile, in the bot lane will be an engage here. EHUG with barely any HP here in this fight. Very squishy. Is going to have to go for the R here sometime soon. Playing with fire, but no, the Q going to come through in a shutdown for this top lane. They're 201 on this gangplank, and that's exactly what Western needed to try and come back in this game.
Yeah, that's definitely going to start to be, definitely already going to be a problem for the Gangplank, because Gangplank's one that the second he gets that one item, it could be to the point where they're not going to be able to do as much to keep him out of the game.
Double TP's coming down here in bot lane. Barlow will be taken out by this Gangplank, but there's going to be an engage here. That's so much damage on Zephyr. Will land the chains as well, but not going to go for the fight. Yuumi is going to be here to help him out. Nice dodge on the ultimate there. Zephyr able to get away from that one, and there's so many kills available here. Looks like Calculus is going to walk through here. Zephyr going to go for the engage, but Peach will block a lot of that damage, and Zephyr not going to be able to pick up any more kills. So it is a 1-for-1 in the end. ADC for mid laner.
Honestly, one thing that I am kind of hoping for is that the Yumi can be able to stay alive during hopefully a long time in this match and not have to lose all those stacks. Because if that does happen, think of all the potential that that would have.
Yeah,
Like, it would change the entirety of the game.
because he has so much more power on these on this assassin for LeBlanc and on this Viego, so much more healing. But this is greedy from Ehug. He's gonna have to walk away here. Got that camp smite away from him, but Yumi is gonna be here to fight it. But Rai is gonna join in the fight as well. Ehug gonna have to ult out and respect the fact that they are there. Zephrot maybe looking for something here as well, but there's 3 members sitting in this jungle, so this could be very, very greedy from Zephrot. Will land the chains, but not gonna go for anything. And again, like we see LeBlanc just not enough burst damage right now, and we saw this actually last game I talked when I was casting with Frez on Saturday. We were talking about this. Zephrot likes to go the Merc Treads against Rise, and I mean realistically it's a good buy, especially when you look at how much Engage is on the side of Western. But you're 3-2-3 on this LeBlanc. I mean, yes, you're down about 25 farm, but I mean right now,
Yeah.
I think you just have to go for Sork boost.
I would definitely be looking towards the sword boost.
Yeah, because it just provides so much more damage and it gives you so much more burst potential, especially because you're paired with a Yumi. So it just adds to how much damage possibility you have.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's even been times where it's like I'm playing Lux and I'm like, oh, I'm behind. I'll try and get the lucidity boost that then I have my abilities up sooner. But then I'm like, well, now I'm missing out on a magic pen, which kind of sucks, especially on Lux. It does look like they get the dragon here. Diego's looking to go in with the Yumi. Nar goes in with the jump and manages to land the stun and gets the Leona. J4 made a mistake of jumping towards them with the EQ. Hopefully they're going to pick up another kill here. The Nar slows. They keep getting autos. Diego ults in and managed to get the kill for LeBlanc.
That was pretty funny. Rel morphed away from his teammates. Said, okay,
I know.
You're done. Sorry, buddy. Jarvan, I got to leave you. Cyber,
Hey,
you're
we all
screwed.
have those moments where it's
true.
like you just see that one person on the map and you're like, listen.
Ooh,
This was your own
Yug's
fault.
in a dangerous spot here now. The Aphelios is here to join his teammate Nar, just deciding he doesn't want to go for it. Barlow going to be here, going to E forward actually. Will land the Q and will
Nice.
execute him with that ultimate. So really good awareness there by Barlow, hopping up into the jungle there and helping out his teammate. But like you were saying, I definitely think Sork boots are the way for
sure.
a LeBlanc, right? Like, I just think when you're going for an assassin build, engage in the ball lane here, going to do a decent amount of damage there to Barlow. Barlow will be able to just walk away, but Nar is going to be here as well. They see him on a ward, so it does mean they're not going to go for a dive. No, Jarvan is hovering around here somewhere, and plates will go down, so they decide it's better to just separate and go their separate ways.
But back to the LeBlanc not getting Stork shoes. It's just one of those things where because of her passive, where if you're marked and then she hits you again with that ability, it does more damage. Imagine like not having that extra little magic pen can totally change how much damage you're doing, as we can clearly see. I do agree with it because there is so much CC on their team, but sometimes that little extra bit of damage will
100%.
completely help you out more than you think.
Looks like engage here in the ball lane. E will land on the Barlow. Barlow will be able to E away. Doesn't have any summoner spells except for that cleanse. Cleanse does end up being used and rooted up as this Leona. She's going to be coming down here in just a second. W just barely going to save her for the moment, though. That means Engage is going to come down onto Lynx here. Lynx will go down with the exhaust. That's going to mean she's going to E in to her death. Leona just accepting the fact that Barlow is going to take her down, and now 0-8-4 on this bot lane. Just Barlow and Fresh smurfing all over them.
And it's been 15 minutes and Yumi's already at 10 stacks. That's kind of crazy. 10 assists as well.
Do you
Oh
think
my
she goes
God.
for the Medjais?
Oh yeah, 100%. No way that she doesn't.
Yeah, I think at this point you have so much confidence there. It's going to be a 2v2 here in the top lane. Flash going to come through. Going to go for the ult here in just a second. Waiting out that, but that's going to be an engage right into 2 people. Cyber again going for this brandish engage. Will cost him his life, and Ricky picking up one, and Ehug picking up another, and that's going to be another 2 kills for this top jungle duo.
Honestly, the way that this Viego is playing, he is so aggressive, but he's getting so much respect for it too because he knows how to play it so well. You can clearly tell, like, the second that he goes in for a dive, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's not hesitating on anything. That's the thing that always changes what happens during a dive. If you ever hesitate during it, you can mess something up, miss an ability, and end up dying instead of getting a kill and surviving.
Yeah, tower dives are definitely like one of the most technical things in League.
For sure.
Because it requires not only you thinking about possible engages or disengages, but then meanwhile, bot lane, there's going to be an engage here. Solar Eclipse will come down, but not going to actually hit Barlow. Barlow will be able to E away And another bot lane escape here for this Yumi Ezreal duo. And I mean, looking back, like you were saying, tower dives are so technical because you have to dodge the CC that the person on the tower might have. You have to balance turret shots, and you have to know who's going to be tanking them and when to get off of it so you don't end up giving power shots over to someone else. So I definitely think it takes a lot of concentration, and EHUG doing it pretty well so far this game.
Even thinking about the minions while they're under turret, they can be minion blocks. They could all of a sudden target you instead and like just tanking more damage from it. On a different note, I do respect a little bit of the Yumi mastery flash there after they escaped. I love doing that myself.
The level 7 Yumi looks like she actually went interesting enough for the Oblivion Orb here instead of upgrading for the Magi's. I mean, and she did get her Moonstone coming through, so this Yumi going to be scary. And we already know how scary she looked on Viego before the Moonstone. So
of course.
There's going to be a ridiculous amount of healing. If you look over, there is no healing reduction built for Western yet. So
I didn't even notice that. That's interesting.
Honestly, I think this Leona's going to go for it sometimes. Meanwhile, in the top lane, he's going to be engaged. Chains will land, and Zephyros going to claim Loyal there. Loyal, a little bit too far up there. That's going to be engaged. The bot lane, 2 turrets going to go down, and there's going to be nowhere this Gangplank can run to. He will go down as well. And St. Clair so active around this map, and we wanted early game from St. Clair. They give us 19 kills in 17 minutes.
They delivered exactly what we needed. And honestly, it's exactly what they needed too, because this is just, as I said, they're going to try and be so intimidating to use it as a scare tactic, and I feel like that's exactly what St. Clair is doing. They're like, listen, this is our playoff spot. You are not going to take it from us, and we'll do anything possible to make sure of that.
Yeah, we see a TP invested to this Herald here. I'm kind of surprised they put all 4 people here in top lane. Stun going to come through, though. EHUG on a killing spree, going to take out that mid laner. Olane going to be the next on the list. Fresh going to take out Aphelios, and that's 3 kills for St. Clair. And just disaster across the board. They did claim the Herald, but it cost them everything.
One thing that I did notice, the LeBlanc actually did end up getting a Dark Seal.
Yeah, so that's going to be an FF. And St. Clair take game number 1. So 18 minutes in, there's a forfeit. And that was just a masterclass. And it all started at the 1 minute mark with that invade.
I'm kind of upset that we didn't see the exact start of it, but honestly, it was impressive.
Yeah.
The fact that I feel like it was all just because of the fact that the Yumi was able to get that Dark Seal. She was able to do so much more around the map, and the fact that it was smart for the Yumi to keep roaming in order to get more stacks on it, so that it keeps going up and up, and you're like, oh, it's just a Dark Seal, but then you're like, wait a minute, it's a Dark Seal.
It's a Dark Seal with 10 stacks on it. That hurts a lot more than I thought it would. So St. Clair take game number 1, absolutely dominating fashion. Everything about that game was well played. I mean, honestly, the only spot I could have seen something happen was the Gangplank getting to the 201 spot. But at that point, the bot lane was like 0-8. So I think definitely looking forward into this next game, you got to look at the bot lane and say, okay, yes, the Aphelios Thresh may be really powerful. The Aphelios Leona, not so much, because you think about it, it's kind of not really what you want, because Leona's all about engage, especially early on. Aphelios just kind of wants to farm up and wait until later on in the game.
Yeah.
And Thresh provides so much more disengage with the Flay and the box. So I think maybe if you're looking towards that bot lane, the first rotation, Aphelios Leona, maybe not what you want to go for.
Yeah, one thing that I do want to ask for your opinion of, John, why do you think they chose to FF that match?
I mean, at that point, you have a Viego who is like 519 or 619. Yeah, he's going to be at 2 items. Like, you have this Yumi who has Dark Seal at 10 stacks and his Moonstone. Like, yeah, you could see a world where they come back where St. Clair just has a roll of mistakes. But I think more than anything, it's got to be mental, right? Because, for example, like, you only played 18 minutes of that game. You're getting just stomped. And, like, there's a 99% chance you're going to lose that game. And even if you end up saying, okay, like, yeah, we get some miracle play, we get a couple shutdowns, you're still going to end up losing that game in the long run, whether it's in the next 3 minutes or in the next, like 15 minutes, right? So I think you want to kind of just say, okay, that team comp didn't work out. We drafted a Gangplank, Rise, and Aphelios. We had like way too much scaling, and so St. Clair took advantage of it. And so you go into game 2, say, okay, Yumi is either pick ban. You can't have that in your game, and we have to try and get some early games somewhere around the map. So maybe like a Jace pick in the top lane because he's really strong right now, or just find something else because clearly the team comp just didn't work.
Yeah, the one thing that I thought that I would see more of is just the combination of all their ultis all together. I know we didn't really make it into that late game point, but even when there were like just small fights here and there, like even under the tower dives, it was just like I expected like the chain CC with the J4 ulti, hopefully the Rise TP and the Gangplank ulti, like they all had that with them, and it felt like they just never used it.
Yeah, I think a lot of credit got to go to Barlow though, because there was several
Hmm.
times where they tried to dive in the bot lane. The
For
one time
sure.
it was 1 for 1, or it was actually 1 for 2 in the end because they got the Leona and the Rise
Oh yeah,
when
you're right.
Zephyros came in later. So, I mean, realistically, you look back at it and say, okay, they tried to use it together, but Barlow with the cleanse flash and his E, just too much evasion and couldn't really
Yeah.
lock him down. You look at like LeBlanc has a dash, even Nar has a dash. So
Hmm.
I think they just really good evasion of CC, and I think at that point, I mean, bot lane again, flashless. Basically, every time it came up, it was used.
Yeah.
So bot lane was just really far down. Leona has 5 deaths in 15 minutes, so she's like not even available to use the ult half the time because she's dead.
True. That's another
So
thing.
I think that's probably a good reason why they weren't actually combining all their ults because they didn't really get a chance to.
That would make sense. The one thing with LeBlanc, whenever I personally play her, it's always like I don't know when to use my ulti, but so much respect to our amazing mid lane player.
Yeah.
He can teach me how to play LeBlanc anytime.
Zephyros looked really good, and it's good to see for St. Clair because that's one thing
Yeah,
that was really good in their last series, and I'm glad they brought it over to this one. But I mean, all credit's got to go to Ehug too. He played that
for
jungle like a
sure.
monster, skanking every single lane, taking every opportunity he could to get himself ahead in that game, and pushed them to a 1-0 series lead. So we're gonna be back in just a few minutes after a short break. And we'll return with game number 2, St. Clair up 1-0, looking to try and get themselves into the playoffs here on Saints Gaming CA.
We'll see you guys soon.
All right, everybody, welcome back after a dominant game number 1 for St. Clair. We are going to be getting into game number 2. The sides have switched, so Western will be getting that first pick, and they are going to take a Mumu with it.
And then we also did get to see the Viego again, which I'm honestly really excited about just because I don't like Viego as a champion. I think he's too much. But respect to Ehug because oh my god, did he play amazing last game. It was like just 10 out of 10 quality.
He was amazing Viego. We've seen him play Viego a couple times this season. He's looked really good on it, so I'm glad that he's able to do that again. We are going to get an Echo pick. I want to talk about we see the Yumi ban, which I mean we are talking about has to be banned
Yes.
by one of the teams. So we are
Of
going to see
course.
Western ban it away, but it does mean this Jax is available for St. Clair to take, and we haven't
True.
seen the Ricky's Jax the entire season because it's literally been banned in every single game they've played. So I mean, I would be very, very surprised to not see
Mhm.
them pick it up here.
There it is, exactly as you were just saying. I hope that we get the kind of game that I'm thinking about because oh my god, listen, we're both fans of League. Whenever we see good games, it's always like the best thing possible, so I'm just hoping for the best.
Seeing Jax 1v9 is hilarious though, because
It
he
is,
spins
oh my
helicopter,
god.
spins around his head, he's taking no damage, hops onto you, and just like QW, and you're like, what is this? This is a burst. bruiser.
Yeah.
This makes no sense.
Like,
So
have you ever had like your entire team up? Maybe one person
yep.
dies from the Jax, and you're like, all right, well, it's a 4v1. We definitely got this. And then Jax just literally tells you no.
Yeah, it's the most frustrating thing ever.
W-
A Fed Jax is the scariest thing in the game, and I mean, a Fed
Yeah.
Ricky is even scarier. So that combination is going to be crazy if he can get himself ahead. But I mean, I want to talk about this draft. We do see the MF Amumu coming through. Amumu did
Yes.
get pretty hard nerfed in the last patch. He went
Mm-hmm.
his mana for his Q went from I think 30 going up to 70 to just 70 base. So
Oh my
it
god.
yeah, it got
I
really
didn't
hard
even know
nerfed.
that.
So I think I mean he is still very viable, especially
Mhm.
because Misfortune is still so powerful, is arguably the best ADC in the game right
As we were
now.
saying earlier.
So I think it still can be very used, but it's more like a blitzcrank now in lane where you have to land your skill shots or else
hmm
you just kind of become useless.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those lanes. Plus, it looks like it's actually going to be a Senna ADC, which at first I saw the Braum and I was like, oh, they have a Braum support. And then I saw Senna and I was like, oh, it's a Senna support. So I used to play Senna ADC for our league club team when when it
Yeah,
was still around, and it is a
I
good
think
pick.
it's
But
a good pick, but the problem with it is they nerfed her mechanics so that you don't get nearly as many souls as you
yeah,
did um, playing support. So a lot of times
hmm
you want to play the Senna support; it's a lot better.
yeah,
I think what Sinclair wants to go for here is just the range advantage that you can get, and I mean, you're playing a Mumu support, which is you have to play pretty close range. So the thing with Senna ADC is if she can get a lot of poke down, especially on something like the Amumu support, it
hmm
allows you to get souls a lot faster. So I think that's why St. Clair is using the Senna ADC, because against the MF Amumu, Braum Senna is actually a pretty good answer.
yeah. And it looks like they still have the same kind of team comps as last time, where St. Clair's gonna go with the picks instead of going with something like what Western has, where it's more of a like we want to go in and we want to get all you guys at once.
Yeah, I want to see that Annie come through. I love seeing Annie. It's hilarious because you walk out of a bush and you just drop everything on someone, and then all that's left is just bear
I just
standing
like
there.
Annie's one of those characters where it's like, oh, she's a cute little character, like she's not gonna do that much damage. No, you get like a demon bear.
Yeah, you literally just have this little girl
Like,
running around the rift, and then just out of nowhere, she just calls in this 40-foot bear that's just
yep.
randomly
I
enters
have the little
distance.
teddy bear in my room. It's so
Actually,
cute. Yeah.
I love that
One
thing.
sad thing though, he doesn't have a tail anymore. I have two dogs at home. One of them went into the room because it fell off the shelf the one day and I didn't notice,
And he
and just
grabbed.
decided, you know what? Tibbers doesn't get a tail anymore. He
He
lost
doesn't.
his privileges.
He's scary enough without a tail. He doesn't need one. I didn't know he had.
No.
Yes. Oh, is it like just a
Yeah.
little round tail, or is it
Yeah,
like an
it's just a
actual?
little tiny
Oh, okay. Okay, that
weird
makes more
thing.
sense. But
Yeah.
anyway, looks like we are gonna be. And I mean, looking at these team comps,
hmm
I think definitely for me, team fight. Whenever you see an MF, a Mumu, team fight potential is massive, right? You have
Oh
the
yeah.
Oriana as well for loyal. So like, if you can get a proper shockwave on top
hmm
of a Mumu ult, on top of a bullet rain from MF. Or bullet time from MF,
hmm
you're gonna have like the craziest AoE team fight in the world.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, that takes a lot of team coordination to get that through. But I definitely think I like this draft a lot more than Western's last one. Not so reliant on that scaling, and DMF obviously super powerful in the game right now. So
Yeah.
I like that pick.
That's the one thing that you did mention, how you thought that they might pick some early champions this time just for the early game, because we saw how St. Clair took the early game last time, and I don't think
Yeah.
they're gonna risk that chance again. And as like the champions that they do pick, I do feel like they do have that small little advantage. Like, they're not the best early, but they're not the worst either.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to talk about the Echo Jungle too. Echo Jungle, pretty good right now. It has very good
Mhm.
clear. So he actually can get around the map pretty quickly, and it's very mobile. And I think that is the advantage of it right now, is that it has very high clear,
Mhm.
and I mean, it has pretty decent gank potential. I mean, you have to set up the W pretty well. And
Yeah.
I mean, outside of set, if you can land a Mumu Q, you can have pretty good gank potential. But like, especially because he wants to gank mid lane so often, because it is pretty easy to take out the
Mhm.
Syndra. I see it's going to be difficult for him to do that. So I mean, how do you feel about the Echo Viego matchup?
The Echo Viego, I feel like it's going to be interesting because either Viego is just going to be bullied the entire time, because I can definitely see that happening. Echo has that ability to be able to be like, hey, I'm going to do some damage, and then back out, and you won't be able to do anything to me. So that is one plus. I feel like it's almost a really good counter for him too, because you do have the Echo ulti that sends you back a couple seconds, and the second that Viego tries to go in, he can just pop that and then get out for free.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm more excited than anything to see this Jax top for Ricky. It's literally been banned every single game
That's
I've watched
insane.
or casted League for St. Clair.
Oh my
Jax has been
god.
banned. So the fact that he's finally gonna get on this champion, I mean, I gotta be honest. Like if he doesn't 1v9 on this champion, I'm gonna have some questions
We're gonna
about.
have a word with
We're gonna
him.
have a word with Ricky, but I mean, realistically, if he's finally getting a chance to actually play this champion,
Yeah.
how do you think it's gonna do into set? And what kind of impact is he going to have on the game?
So, speaking from experience, whenever there is someone like a champion that always gets banned and then you finally get to choose them, sometimes it gets to your head a little bit where you're like, "Oh, I'm just going to do so good," and it's
Yeah.
just you're too cocky with it. So that's the one worry that I have. But honestly, anytime that I do see a Jax fighting against a set, it does go towards the Jax a
Yeah.
lot because he does have his stun, his dot like his block from ability or not ability, sorry, auto attacks and all. So I do see it going more towards the Jax instead.
And if he holds his Q, he can easily dodge out the set W as
Yeah,
well.
for
So
sure.
I definitely think looking forward into this game, especially when we get in the later game, like there's not going to be anyone that's going to be able to stop this Jackson a side lane. Like
Mm-mm.
that eventually he will just outscale set, and then like the Orion, obviously the Oriana and Echo just can't even fight him. He's going to be able to hop on them, and there's
Yeah.
nothing really they can do about it unless they use their ult. So I think definitely later on in this game, this Jax is going to be a problem that there's going to have to be an answer early on in this game
For sure.
because I mean you have the Jax scaling, which is going to be out of this world. You have Viego scaling as
hmm
well. So I think later on this game, I think St. Clair can definitely be favored because there's just not going to be a way to stop this Jax.
Yeah. If anything, if he doesn't do so well in the early against that, because I know I've seen so many sets go in level one and just immediately take out the other laner. And if that does happen and it does set the Jax a little bit behind, I do think that if he just sits in lane for a little bit longer, he's gonna end up splitting all the way to the Nexus. Because I also see that so much.
Yeah, that's it's gonna be one thing they're gonna have to solve at some point. But I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about the mid laner. I'm surprised we didn't see Sephiroth go back on the LeBlanc. It wasn't banned, so it
Mm-hmm.
definitely was a possibility for him to go back on that one, but chose to go with the Syndra instead. So, I mean, is it because it's a different kind of looking team comp, or is it just
I
maybe a
feel like
preference?
I feel like it's purely just for the champions that they chose because think of it this way, like the second that a set tries to run up to you, push him away. The same kind of thing with Echo where there's going to be they have so much engage all to begin with that could probably take a second and they did have engage or disengage last time with like all the W's and all the dashes. But with this one, at least Syndra is able to not only protect herself but protect the team. So I think that's the biggest reason why they
Yeah,
chose
for
Syndra of
sure.
all.
And I mean, we talk about the Senna ADC. It's
Mm-hmm.
not as powerful as it once was. And I mean, I don't mind it, but I do think it's not going to be as strong in the 2v2. I think it is just kind of
Yeah.
a survival lane where you have the Braum, who's Braum is the most effective laner against the MF at
Mm-hmm.
Mumu. We've seen a lot of responses to that at Worlds earlier on. We saw when people tried playing the Mumu MF, it actually fell off quite a lot in priority, especially the Mumu, just because the Braum was such a good answer into it. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely like the pick out of St. Clair. Seeing the Mumu come through meant they chose the Braum, and I mean, if Fresh can be comfortable on it, if he can perform well, I definitely think St. Clair can take the series.
One thing that I did think about is that maybe St. Clair is looking at it because of last game. It was mostly like trust me, ADC did have some really really good plays and they were extremely clean too. Like the one where it was around the top side of the jungle,
Mhm.
that was insane. It made my day. But with how fed Viego and the LeBlanc was, maybe that's the kind of tactic where it's like we won't have all the focus on us, and because we know that's going to be on you, so why not go something that will try and keep you alive longer instead? And
Yeah.
because regardless of where Senna plays, she always builds Kraken and all that in order to just kind of take some of the health away from their enemies as they can finally go in and do the final blow, you know?
It's a nice thing about having ADC who has healing. It can support your team. And you
Yeah,
have a
for
Braum who
sure.
has so much disengaged potential. So you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of play around fights a lot easier when you have that Braum because he gives you good engage with his ult, but he also gives you a lot of disengage. And the shield is going to be so strong, especially if they're going to try, like we said, to do the combination of the shockwave plus
Yeah,
the
for
bullet
sure.
time plus the Amumu ult, the Curse of the Sad Mummy. If they try and combo those abilities, Braum throws up his shield and he can stop a lot of what they want to do. But here we go. Game number 2, St. Clair versus Western University. NACE Star League final game of the season. All of it on the line here for both of these teams trying to make it into playoffs.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for this game because we
Ooh.
saw how St. Clair was doing, and this looks like it's
Ooh.
gonna be such a good invade real quick. Take
This
it
is going to be
away.
a 5v5. It's going to go
Oh
crazy. A
my god.
massive stun going to catch all 5 people here. Can they get anything out of it, though? Ignite ticking onto Barlow. First blood going to go over to Western. Going to pick up a second as well. This is disaster for St. Clair. A double kill for the MF. One finally going to get back in response here. Brom trying to run away from this support. Olan going to land the second Q there on as well. That's going to be Dr. Calculus coming in for the E auto and will finally take him down. A 4-0 for Western, and that is the worst thing you could have if you're
Oh
St. Clair.
my god.
Yeah, that was just a
Did that just happen?
disaster. That was, I mean, there's nothing you could do about that. The thing there was St. Clair wanted to invade, right? But the problem is you had Set sitting in that bush. So Set,
Yeah.
I don't think did he flash? He did flash. So he flashed forward and stunned all 5 people. And when you have an Oriana on top of that, you have the MF on top of it. It is so hard for them to be able to do this. Yeah, you see, so he flashed here, got the stun on all 5, and you see a move just barely escaping your Cyber, just one auto attack away, but unfortunately just not enough commitment there. Ricky, the only one who managed to escape with his life, but it does cost him his flash, and in the end, the Amumu and Set combined to take down this Brom. Brom actually came pretty close to taking Oland
Yeah.
and finally getting a kill there, but I mean, oh, it's going to be a Q landed on a Barlow to start this one off. A beautiful Q by Oland there. Stun going to come down, but it's not going to be enough, and Link's already on a killing spree, and we're 2 minutes into this game. The ADC is 3-0-1.
I can't watch. This is gonna be something else. The second that I noticed, I saw the sign that MF got a double kill. I was like, oh, it's gonna be that game.
It's just going to be so hard for this bot lane now. Stun going to come up. Ricky just picks up level 2, actually. Dr. Calculus will be level 2 as well. But, I mean, right now, MF is going to back. I'm assuming she's going to buy lethality here to start us off.
Of course.
And this laning phase is going to become next to impossible for St. Clair. Oh, she will actually, yeah, she's going to longsword and dagger, but I mean, still, like,
Yeah.
she has 2 longswords and a dagger at 2 minutes. Like, this laning phase is going to be so hard for St. Clair to deal with.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a struggle for real, but it does look like the Syndra is going to do exactly what the Ori was doing last game on Rise, where they're keeping them under turret until they can look for something good, but the Echo is going to come in here and Syndra's going to have to flash in order to get out safely, which I thought she used flash earlier
Yeah,
in the
actually,
invade.
the only one that didn't end up using flash on that invade. So at this point now, all of St. Clair's flashes are going to be down. And you can just see how much poke damage Lynx is doing on this MF because of those early items.
This is going to definitely be something as the Echo is going to try and go in. The Mumu gets the Sun out with the Q, and Echo will look, it seems like he's going to pick up a kill here. MF is hopefully going to take out Braum. Nope, the Mumu does get out alive though, sad.
Yeah, and again, one of these plays where there's no flashes available for the ball lane, so that's just going to be Echo ganking as much as possible. Nice flash for Loyal to get out of that stun, and now all 5 flashes are down on the map. Everyone will be flashless, and I'm looking for both these junglers to start ganking a ton, because for the next couple minutes at least, there's going to be no one with flash available. And I mean, we've already seen bot lane, like, Barlow is 0-3 now, and it's so much gold over to this MF. We'll pick up the Noon Quiver 4 minutes into the game. This MF has a Noon Quiver. Like, how do you even play this out?
Honestly, at this point, I'm stumped because this Amumu has been landing so many good Qs that I haven't, like, the second that I see he is in the middle of the animation, I'm like, oh, I don't think that's gonna hit, but then it ends up doing it regardless. It's exactly how the lane we thought was gonna go. We just had to hope that the Sen is gonna sit back and take it slow. It does look like they kept on trying to poke her down in hopes that they could go in at one point, but at this point, they just gotta sit back and not get completely pushed out of lane, but just try and take a breather, you know?
This is going to be a collapse on the Loyal. Loyal with no flash here is in a bad spot. Stun will come down here. That's going to be so much damage, and that's going to be Oriana being taken down. E-Hug finally getting St. Clair on the board here, but I mean, at this point, it's crumbs on cookies, right? Like, you're just so far behind. Barlow again going to be engaged in the bot lane. Ignite going to come down. One more auto. Link's on a rampage now. This MF is so far ahead, and Barlow just needs to respect the fact that your Braum roam to mid lane. You can't walk up in this lane or else you are going to die.
Sometimes people do still like they'll change champions between the 2 games, but then they'll still have like the memory of playing the first champion. So that could be something where he's like, oh, well, I can get out of this easy. It's like, but you're playing a different champ who doesn't have that escape tool. So that could be one of the things that is going on right now.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, I really too think you're not expecting this much damage out of NMF early,
No,
right? Like,
not at all.
yes, yeah, you understand she's an early game champion, she's going to do a decent amount, but like when you're on a noon quiver at 4 minutes, you're level 4 right now. There's no way this MF should be doing that much damage, but again, like the 007 Amumu, like it's like Blitzcrank. If you hit your Qs, you are so effective in lane. Like it is,
Yes.
it is impossible to play against it. And yeah, the mana cost was higher, but they didn't reduce the damage on it, so it's just as effective. Oh, it's gonna be engaged top lane. Ricky will actually pop the ult there. So Bramble Best was picked up for the set. Doesn't mean he has a lot more survivability in the lane, but Ricky there, I think definitely should not have used the ult. I think he should have saved it. I think he would have been okay without using that, and that's gonna mean an advantage that he can't use for the next minute and a half here in top lane.
One thing that it looks like they're trying to do ball lane is like they're still trying to push them under turret, but like again, like look how much damage that MFQ just did. That just should be a very gigantic red flag in your face. Like just stay back under your turret. If they hold the wave there, then try and get the jungler down. It looks like Diego is down there right now, so hopefully they might be able to get an engage off with Braum.
Yeah, it looks like a dive might. They might be thinking about something here. Trying to push them out, and it's very aggressive they're playing here, but this is going to be maybe an engage. No, Snare's not going to make contact, but they're just going to walk up. And I mean, I think that Western understands the fact that there's no way to be playing this aggressive. They didn't have a jungler somewhere nearby. So they do have a ward in the tri-bush here. Engage is going to come down. Nice flash W there onto the Amumu. And finally, Olan will be taken down here. Barlow going to get a kill for himself. Will now be worth gold. Nice Q there. Yeah, going to land that one as well. Going to go for the stun here. Fresh is going to be taken down, though. They tried to go for the dive, but the flash cleanse was available just in time. And in the top lane, maybe a dive here. Ricky going to respect it. Will walk backwards and won't be taken down here. But that was just really unfortunate timing there. The cleanse flash just came up for the misfortune and did mean that Fresh was taken down.
Yeah, one thing that I did notice for both games is that both teams, both ADCs did end up taking cleanse, and I think it's the same situation here. And now we have the gold lead on right now.
Yeah, you can see there's 1,000 gold difference between a misfortune and Senna here.
That
so
is
that is just so much more agency for this character. And you see there's a 600 gold difference in the mid lane as well. So I mean, outside of that, actually pretty even across the board, surprisingly. But I mean, Jax with a small CS lead in the top lane. Who's going to be engaged here, though? There's going to be a 2v2. Beautiful shockwave is going to catch both of them here. Ia trying to heal up. Going to have to ult over the wall. Fresh will be sacrificed here, and a flash going to come over the wall. That's going to be a double for Cyber on this Echo, and bad goes to worse for St. Clair.
It seems like, honestly, Western was just like, alright, you did your damage to us. We're going to do our damage to you now. We're going to even it out. So it looks like this game is going towards Western, sadly, but we can always hope for the best because I don't know about you, but I see the late game potential with St. Clair right now.
Yeah, I think later on in this game goes, the real problem for Western on the Amumu support specifically is that he falls off very hard. This is going to be a flash, and that's going to be a shutdown actually for Syndra. Beautiful awareness there by Zephyros, called out what they were doing, and that means they will pick up this Rift Herald as well. So a little bit of a swing back towards St. Clair. Definitely a nice shot down there. A little bit of extra gold into Zephyros' pocket. But like I was saying, the Amumu, when you get later on in the game, because he's in the support role, he isn't getting as much gold as he needs to normally be able to keep up. So once you get past like 25, 30 minutes, the Amumu falls off tremendously, and he always is going to have a very impactful ultimate. But the problem is that outside of his ultimate, he doesn't really offer anything else because he's just not tanking enough. If he Qs, he's basically queuing to his death.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely seen that happen before. One thing that I am hoping is that because of that shutdown that Syndra just got, she's able to do a little bit more damage to the Orianna and hopefully keep her out of lane for a little bit longer. And in the meantime with bot, I'm just wondering why they're still choosing to push instead of just trying to freeze the wave to make sure that like they can still get as much CS, because after they push, the Misfortune can just hold the wave at the turret and then they're not going to be able to do anything. So that's one thing that I'm curious about. It does look like Echo's going to try and go in on the Syndra here, but the Syndra has managed to get away and get far enough away in time.
She's able to play safe enough there. Echo can't engage. A good pink ward there. And the river does spot Echo out on that gank. So Iha going to be looking for maybe an engage, but decides to back off here. And both teams looking like they want to maybe think about going for this dragon sometime soon. Interestingly enough, bot lane, and you look at how much damage this MF is going to do compared to the Senna, and if you go for a fight there, there's just no way you don't take it as Western. Like, there's no way you can actually win that one as St. Clair. So it looks like they will be starting up the dragon. Diego is going to be in the top half, so there will be no contest, and first Ocean Dragon will go to Western.
Now, one thing that I am going to ask, do you think that they're going, if they do see that the Misfortune is alone, do you think that they're going to risk it and try and go in for that kill? Do you think she has too much damage to, like, she has enough to keep him off?
I think it depends, right? Because I think the problem is if you don't know where their jungler is, if you don't know where their support is, you can't opt to go for that fight. Because even if one of those two people joins, you are just going to be taken down here fresh. Ooh, he's going to get crit, but he's going to barely survive there on top lane. Meanwhile, on top lane, it will be an engager in top lane. Ult's going to come down from Calculus, and there will be a TP as well. So does mean the dive is not going to work out there. Will be forced to use a TP from Loyal to help out his top laner there. And Calculus forced to use the ult. St. Clair really not spending anything yet that.
It looks like they're going to try and use the bush tactic, not knowing that St. Clair has already been back in base.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, they're so far ahead, they're not really worrying about a little bit of lost gold, lost minions.
Yeah, for sure.
So they will be okay here. And Rift Herald is going to go down to mid. A lot of plates on Zephrod here, so definitely a lot of gold going towards this mid laner. And I mean, if you're St. Clair, bot lane is lost right now. Like, you're just so far behind, nothing you can do to try and catch up. So that is definitely where you got to start looking, is towards this top lane where we see Ricky is already at 30 CS on this set. Like, he is substantially far ahead of this other top laner. And I mean, he's at 000. The set started out 103, but you can turn to the gold graph and see, like, right now, the gold lane is actually in Jax's favor because he's gotten plates and he's been able to farm minions way better. So despite the fact that the set is 103, got the early gold, I mean, it didn't really make a difference. So you even see in the mid lane right now, there's a 600, 700 gold difference between the Syndra and the Orianna. So, I mean, despite the fact that all that kerfuffle that happened earlier, all the gold right now is on... Oh, there's going to be a fight in bot lane. Barlow, you're in a dangerous spot. Ult not available. So was able to take that fight and live. But, I mean, we know Barlow, he likes to play super aggressive. And you're kind of stuck on this Senna pick. So... looks like Ricky will be going for turret here. There's going to be 3 people in top lane here. Calculus, no ult available just yet. Stun going to come through there. That's going to be an ult from Senna. W going to come through, though. It's going to save him for this moment, but they will be able to live here. Ricky will be able to get out from under turret. He's going to take another turret shot here. We'll try and clear the wave, and Syndra with backup means they will just get another free shot in top lane. And, I mean, the more they're doing this, the better chance they have to take back this game. Because, like you were saying, top and bot right now, actually gold advantage is in St. Clair's favor.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like the one thing that I was mentioning earlier, where I kind of thought that they went the Senna and Braum bot lane just in order to support literally everybody else on the team. Because that's the one thing with having a team comp like that. When that happens, it's so frustrating to try and fight against it. And it looks like the Syndra tried to pick up another kill on the Orianna, but sadly the Orianna flashed and got away in time. Goes in on the Senna. And Echo follows with the flash, and Moo gets the kill with the last Q. Going in on the Braum here, it looks like Misfortune picked it up with Gale Force. Honestly, I was not expecting Misfortune to go Gale Force. I know she's ahead, but with how many tanks that they have on the Saints team, I thought the Kraken would have been the way to go.
Yeah, I think it's just at this point, you're thinking, right, like, you see the gold difference, right? A K in mid, and there's 1,300 in top lane. So you're trying to get this MF as far ahead as possible because she's almost 3K up on the Senna. Like, she is so far ahead of the center right now. So you have to try and take this MF and just win the game based off of her, right? It's got to be all on her. So the Gale Force, I think, is actually really useful for the dash as well, right? Because you have the Viego stun, you have the Syndra stun. So you have to be able to dodge those things because there's going to be a point where they are going to go all in on this Misfortune and try and kill her because she really is the only threat for Western right now.
Echo was one of the threats as well, but after that Syndra managed to pick up that shutdown on Rift, the Echo hasn't been able to do as much as I thought that he was doing around the map, which is honestly just the best advantage. It did look like, I believe St. Clair did pick up first turret against Western, which is great because not only is that a gold lead for Jax, but that's also a gold lead for literally the rest of the team.
Ricky might be in trouble here. Pops the ult, but it's not going to be enough. Ooh, dodges the Q actually from Amumu. He's going to try and walk away here. Q not available though, and Cyber will pick up Ricky there. That will be a kill over, but MF is going to be very vulnerable in mid lane here. Oh, it's going to be barely going to live, but that's going to be a shutdown for E-Hug, will pick up that kill, and that's 900 gold for the jungler for St. Clair. That is huge. They're finally able to pick up that shutdown on MF, and this is just looking like Loyal caught it in a bad place, but no, Fresh, you gotta run. Hits the 4-man ult. Loyal barely surviving there, but Fresh will be able to walk away here, so no kills in the aftermath, but they finally get that shutdown on MF, and that is so much gold for E-Hug.
Especially because it went to Diego. The fact that it went to him is perfection. And honestly, I knew the Syndra had a little bit of damage, but I wasn't expecting that much.
Yeah, Barlow's going to be taken down here by Cyber, just overextending there in the fight after. Auto is going to come through here in just a second. Oh, W for the prediction, but actually no.
God.
He's going to be able to escape. Ricky going to take down Cyber. TP coming through as well. This is disaster for Western. This is going to be a W coming through. Fresh will be taken down here, but will be traded out for Calculus, and that's going to be Ricky trying to walk on the rest of them here. A decent amount of damage. They have to be careful. This MF is very, very strong right now. It is a 4v3 here. Stun going to come through onto the Amumu, and the Amumu will be taken down here. Oh, ult going to come through. Bullet going to take down Viega. Going to shut down his answer back with a shutdown onto E-Hug there. Ricky and Barlow so low here. Going to go for the stun, though. Will get Zephyron. Finally going to pick up a kill for St. Clair. That's going to be an ult coming down and double kill for the Syndra Q. Going to come through, and they're going to take down Amumu. 2-3 kills, and a Dragon. St. Clair roaring back in this game.
I have actually no words. It was one of those moments. This is what I was talking about. You get cocky in a game of League, you get told and put back in your spot.
But I mean, that was just a Chad moment for that Jax there. The fact that Ricky had 200 HP is like, you know what?
Let's take another look at this real quick.
Yeah, so bullet time comes through, and it's a shutdown for Orianna. So things look really bad here for St. Clair. But Ricky's like, you know what? I still got ult up. Presses the E button, dodges a beautiful dodge on that Q, though. Does enable him to get away here. And Syndra, with the ult still available, able to do that. A Q in and almost got Ricky there. But again, Ricky, the fact that he was confident enough on this Jax to pop the E and say, okay, I'm going to hit this on the Orianna, and I'm going to get the healing for my... he just doesn't have Divine Sunder. So he just decided, you know what? I'm going to go for it. Go for a kill. And I mean... what do you have to lose, right?
Yeah, like, what were we saying about earlier? He's gonna 1v9. We want to see it, and we got our little bit of piece of it. We got a sneak peek of hopefully what's gonna happen on later on.
And you know what the scary thing is? There's a Dark Seal in that Syndra.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Stacks. Fresh is gonna be engaged on here. Will dash away to Barlow, trying to live here for a moment. Will manage to escape.
Maybe the Dark Seal just...
Ricky is in a dangerous spot here. There's 5 people on top of him. He's going to have to try and escape this for a moment. Cyber going to go in on Fresh here, though. Will be able to get that passive off. And Fresh taken down again. 0-6 on this Braum. Not looking too hot. But, I mean, his teammates are doing pretty well. So, I think he's just going to have to play weak side on this Braum and hope he can try and recover.
I'm just waiting for that Syndra E that I was hoping to land.
10 stacks on this Dark Seal. Almost has a Rabadon's. Will be able to get it on this next back. And both teams just kind of hovering around this Rift Herald, thinking about how they want to play this one out. Ult's available, though, for everyone on both sides. Engage going to be onto Lynx here. Ricky does so much damage, and Ricky on a killing spree. Looks like they will be able to collapse here onto this mid. Oh, will land the stun onto Echo. Amazing stun. So much damage on that W. Ricky looks so good on this Jax, and there's a reason he gets his banned out.
Yeah, I can definitely see. I personally have never seen how he plays Jax, purely probably because he's been banned all season.
Yeah.
But it's literally, I'm getting nightmares about this. I'm an ADC main. This hurts me.
This is one of those scary Jax games. But St. Clair finally regained the gold lead here ever so slightly. And I mean, considering the game started out 4-0 and a 3 kills on this MF, the fact that they've pulled this back to even, and I mean, yes, the gold still is a huge difference in the ADC, but you see there's a 7k, there's a 2k gold lead in the top lane for Jax right now, and in the mid lane there's a k and a half. So they've definitely made up for that bot lane deficit, and I mean, St. Clair just looks so much better here in the second half of this game.
Honestly, I feel like Dark Seal at this point, it's our lucky charm.
It's true.
Anytime that I've seen the Dark Seal, we pull through and we win those games.
And you get they're max stacking it too. I haven't lost it. So I'm looking here, Syndra gonna back for this Rabadon's. That is when it gets really scary, because you see right now there is a Collector and a Gale Force for this MF. There's nothing you can do. If you get hit by a stun by MF, like if you're MF, you get hit by a stun, Syndra presses are on you and you're just done. And that is like
Yeah.
all the team fight potential you have is stored into this Misfortune right now. Oriana's going to do a little bit. She did get Ludens, so she will be able to do a little bit. But looking forward, it's definitely going to be tough for me to see anyone except for MF actually doing damage. So 20 minutes gone in this game. It will be a Mountain Soul here. So a little bit of tankiness going to be for whoever claims this one. Dragons at 1 apiece still. And, I mean, ooh, there's going to be a Engage here in the mid lane. It's going to be Cypher going for Fresh. Fresh going to throw up the shield. Going to go for the ults here. Cleanse will come through. Link's trying to live. Does manage to live for a second, but EHUG finally going to take him out here. Craziness happening in mid lane set. Going to go for the W here. Not even going to get it off, though. Barlow going to get that set. That's going to be a flash out of Oland. And again, St. Clair winning these team fights handily.
It looks like right now they're going to try and spawn the Rift Herald.
Oh
Syndra
my
gets a
goodness.
great E off and was able to ult the Amumu to get another little kill in there right before they go for the Baron call.
That is absurd damage from this Syndra. Like,
That's
absurd. And I mean,
happens.
she completed the Rabadons. She is so strong right now. I think she's going to pick up this Medjay sometime soon. And I mean, if you can't face check anything, even if you're Western, the problem is, like, there's so much damage on this Syndra. If you walk into any little corridor, you're just being taken down immediately because Set has no magic resist. You have a little bit of Locket's shielding for a Mumu, but other than that, like, you get hit by anything from Syndra, you're just done.
Yeah, that's basically how it always goes. One thing that I did want to note, though, notice how Western had the Ocean Dragon, but St. Clair was lucky enough to get the Infernal, so that probably helped amp up their damage for sure. It might not be the Soul, but at least it's a little bit something, and honestly, I expect them to completely dominate this game, even more than they already are, if they can manage to get the Dragon Soul.
So Herald will be popped in the mid lane here. Mountain Dragon is being taken by Western. They will be able to get that one, but St. Clair with Baron active, all 5 members walking through mid here. Herald is going to push through, and they look at mid turret here. We'll see how far they can go, because you know that they were on Dragon here, right? So they can't be on a back. They're either backing or they're running through the jungle here. They're going to try and catch him out. Ooh, E is not going to land onto that Echo there. Echo will just be able to barely escape his life. Does burn the R, though. So we won't be able to have that tool in this next coming team fight because St. Clair with this Baron buff want to try and shove this out. They have Ricky pushing in top lane. That's going to be an ultimate coming. Going to hit 2 people. That's going to be an ult out of the set, though. Going to find absolutely nobody with it. Stun going to come out here. Calculus going to throw up the W, but not going to do that much damage. Zephyr looking for a target here. He's hunting. Goes for the flash E and executes that. That's going to be a huge bullet time. Going to catch 3 people. Not going to do enough damage. Finally, Olan going to take out EHUG there, so it's going to be 1-for-1. Fresh down to very low HP here. Will be taken out as well. Stun going to come through. Ricky doing so much damage. A triple kill for Zephyr here, and they will clean up this fight. 4 down, and just going to be Lynx, the only member standing for Western.
It looks like this could possibly be a GG right here, but they are going to decide to take a back instead. Probably buy some more items. This is one thing that I do notice. Like, sometimes it is better to just take the leave and possibly do what the Syndra's doing and take out all their jungle camp to make sure that they can secure the win. Because if they did go for Nexus there, it would have been risky, but I think they would have pulled it off.
I think it would have been close, but you got to remember, a lot of gold on this Syndra,
Yeah,
right? On
for sure.
the Misfortune right now. Didn't have ult available, but has a decent amount of wave clear, right? And she didn't have summoners available, but I mean, regardless, she's very fast. So I think if she managed to escape that, especially because Ricky's down to about 300 HP, she gets a good Q off. Jax gets taken down, and I mean, you really only had half a wave to work with, so
Yeah.
there's not a lot of room for error on that one. So I think that's probably why they opted not to go for it, but. I mean, right now, Zonya's now completed for the Syndra, and I don't see a way that Western can come back in this game. Like,
Neither
there's
do
just
I.
no tools for them to use. There's no front line. Like you saw, Syndra literally flash E'd the set at half HP, and he died. So,
Yeah.
like, you don't have a front line to do anything against this mid laner from St. Clair. Like, Zephyr is just looking so good on this Syndra, and we said before, like, he looked pretty good on LeBlanc. For a surprise, he's not going to go for it again. But, I mean, why go for your... Oh, this is going to be engaged here. EHUG going to be caught out. Alt's going to come down as well. Link's going to take out EHUG really early in this one. Jungler going to be taken down for St. Clair, and that's another Baron off of them. And, I mean, I don't think St. Clair can really push forward in this mid lane anymore without their... Oh, that's so much damage.
Syndra does what she does.
Yeah, that's so much damage from Syndra right now. Almost one-shotting Cyber there. Turret will finally go down in the bot lane, claimed by Ricky. And, I mean, what do you do if you're Western right now?
Hope for the best. What I do expect is I do expect to see a lot of magic resist, but St. Clair has such a high gold lead
Yeah,
now.
that is ridiculous.
We just saw on between the gold lead between Set and Jax, and Set was down like almost 4K gold.
I mean, we said this at the beginning. Ricky hasn't gotten to play a single Jax game all season because it's been banned every single time. And this game, Western decided Yuumi was so much a problem, they were going to skip the Jax ban and go for the Yuumi ban and skip the Jax ban. So, I mean, I really don't think it worked out for them. I'm going to be honest. I mean, Yuumi obviously probably the worst of the two evils, but regardless, I mean, yeah, just I think just like pause for a second there. But I mean, regardless, St. Clair up so much gold right now. You have no answer for this Jackson split push because he's on 3 items. Set is on 1.5 items. And Syndra is literally one-shotting everyone. But this could be another engage on E-Hug gear. We'll pop the stopwatch, try and stay alive here for a moment. But Cyber going to take him out here. Jackson have 3 people on him in the bot lane. Ooh, nice Q there by Olan. Is going to be able to make contact. E going to come here, going for the stun, but that's going to be an execution onto that Jackson across the map. There's going to be a comeback here. Western getting slightly ahead. That's going to be an R out of Silas here, but he will be taken out. A little bit too pushed up there, Cyber being punished. But, I mean, you got Ricky in the bot lane there, and a nice kill there, and then top lane as well. It does mean they get a small advantage. And, I mean, right now, if you're Western, you take anything.
Yeah, I wonder if they are going to go for the drag here because it is up in 30 seconds. Both junglers are down, but Viego is going to be up in 5. Echo's going to take 20. They could, honestly, they might be able to squeeze in and be able to steal the drag from Viego, but honestly, like, they're down 5k gold. It's going to be so hard to get anything done right now, especially because the Syndra does have Zhonya's now. So he is definitely thinking ahead of the game right now. And they did end up buying Medjays as well.
It's time. It's time.
It's time.
It's time. Zephyrot's going for it all. But, I mean, realistically, you can't just give this dragon up if you're Western. They are on 2 dragons right now. Sound and Soul is years and years away. You don't have to worry about that for another 10 minutes at most. So I think for right now, you just give this up to say, yes, we are pretty far down, but it's not worth going to dragon right now to fight this. We want to wait until we're fighting on better terms for something more significant, such as this Baron, which is up now. So, I mean, St. Clair looking to maybe push towards bot lane here. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, you have Ricky in the top lane, but I'm surprised they're not just positioning around Baron because right now there's up so much in gold. Stun going to land, but not going to go for an engage here. Ricky does have TP available. He's TPing somewhere. I can't see. Oh, he's TPing behind them. They have no idea that Jack's going to come from behind. He's going to be a massive stun there onto 3 members of St. Clair. It's going to be a W, but Shutdown going to come through onto this MF in the backline. Barlow going to take out Calculus on that set. And Olan going to land a 2-man stun, but it's not going to matter. The sad mummy is going to run away, but he will be taken down here momentarily. And they're running right into that Baron. Syndra all going to come through, taking out another member. That's going to be 1 left. The only one standing, a 5-0. St. Clair ace them, and looks like they're going to run it down and end this series at 2-0.
It actually looks like they're just going to surrender, so they don't even get to have the Nexus explosion. But congrats to St. Clair for winning 2 games. Those were amazing.
And, I mean, we got to talk about that early game. They're down 4-0. They're down 6-0 to start the game off. That MF is 3,000 gold ahead of this. And Zephyrot in the mid lane just popping off. And Ricky, I mean, you gave Ricky the Jax.
Yeah.
There's a reason he gets a ban every game, and that's the reason.
It's like... It's just one of those times where it's like, you know what, this person pissed me off so much, but then you're like, uh-oh, I may have made a small little bit of a mistake. Looking at the end game screen right now, the set, having 1 kill ahead for a set, come on.
Yeah, you got to do something with that in lane, right? You're
I'm
103.
Really surprised.
Yeah, you're 103 to start off laning phase. Like, you should be able to bully out the Jax, but I mean, the farm was even for most of the game, but then eventually, you know, Ricky, once he got to the 10-minute mark, you saw he got ahead 10 CS. And then 2 minutes later, he was ahead 20 CS. Then after that, 30 CS. So he just kept growing that lead he had. And I mean, honestly, I really got to give all credit to Zephyrot. Zephyrot found really good picks, roamed around the map, got a pick in top. And when he got that shutdown onto Lynx, that it was just 650 gold. He used it so well.
It was the turnaround of the game. Yeah. Like, honestly, if that didn't happen, I have little to no doubt that Western would have won that. But thankfully, our mid laner has such great awareness of everybody on the map that he was able to pick up that shutdown. And it was a 300 gold shutdown?
Yeah, 300 or 400, something around there, yeah.
But even then, like, such a small amount after having such a bad start, that can change it completely. And we even saw how that worked out.
And it's really good to see this out of St. Clair. I think the fact that you go from so far behind in a game to ending up 10K up at the end of it. Like
Yeah.
it's so massive for them because it shows other teams that they have enough confidence that you're not going to get tilted. You're not going to end up being
Hmm.
down and just saying, okay, like this game is just a GG. We're not going to worry about it. Like they're able
Yeah.
to say, okay, yes, we're down bad in the early game. Yes, our Senna's just getting inted on by every lane, but they turn into other stuff. You saw they took Herald, they ganked top lane, they ganked
Hmm.
mid lane, and despite the fact that they were behind early on, they said, okay, we're going to ignore bot lane. Bot lane is just going to keep doing whatever, and we're just going to push elsewhere ahead. And we saw you were talking about actually about halfway through that game. The Echo didn't really have an impact in the game. We saw him go bot a couple
No.
times, but at that point, like, you already know that this bot lane, the Senna Braum isn't going to do anything for the game. So I think you
Hmm.
got to try and either stem the bleeding from your lanes or try and kill the Syndra because we saw Echo didn't have a real impact and Ehug did. And that really was, I think, the change that really need to happen if you're St. Clair.
Yeah, for sure. The Echo, like the one thing with Echo is that like if you don't have that impact on at least one lane, then it's kind of like you don't have a lot of damage to do anything anywhere. And it is good, but also it's like they if they had that small it kind of just seemed like the second that he got shut down, he just kind of gave up. And that's kind of sad to see. I get that their mental, they might have surrendered last game because of their mental, but it's like one of those shutdowns, they could have turned around from it,
Yeah.
but it was just the misplay on when they were top side by the second tier turret for the red side. That's when everything just went south for them.
Yeah, so that's going to be it, though. St. Clair is going to take the Series 2-0 and most likely put themselves into NACE playoffs. So we are going to have an interview here with Zephyros, and so we're going to set that up in just a second here. And, I mean, to start us off, you guys win the Series 2-0. I want to talk about game number 2. You're starting off the game basically 4-0, like, or 0-4, right? So what do you say in comms? How do you turn yourself around at that point, and how do you get some confidence back into your team?
Honestly, that was just
I'm
really
sorry.
scrappy level one. So when we first started the game and after that invade, we just said, okay, let's like reset our mindset. We're gonna stick to our game plan, and that's what we did. We just abused like their mistakes, and that was the goal of our comp.
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking about we haven't seen Ricky's Jax at all this season. It's been banned every single game you guys have played,
Hmm.
and he finally got to show it out. And I think at the end of the game, he had a 4K or 5K gold difference. So does it make you feel better that you have more confidence in your top laner? Because I feel like, especially after what happened in the last series you played in playoffs at CLOL, Ricky was kind of struggling a bit, especially in that top lane. So but how do you think he improved coming into this game?
I think him being on a comfort pick is really good because we know we can just let him on an island and he's gonna do fine by himself, and like it relieves some kind of pressure from us because we don't have like to as a team where we like to make like big plays and like
Hmm.
individual like outplays, but like if we know that he's on a comfort pick, we don't need to do like any like risky plays.
Yeah, and I think specifically for you, you looked phenomenal in both those games. And even thinking back to your last series at CLOL, your LeBlanc has looked so good lately. And we talked about kind of your struggles earlier on in the season, especially on the Silas. Do you think like the LeBlanc pick and the Syndra pick have kind of turned it around for you? And do you think maybe moving on, you're going to be playing some more of that as control mages are starting to become a little bit more meta?
Yeah, so with the Salas pick early season, like I wasn't like used to the matchups really. I was good on the champion, but I didn't know my matchups at all. And as for LeBlancs, the pick has become really good lately. So I spam like a lot of games on her, like every scrim, I would just play that. And now I feel really comfortable on it. And that's a champion I used to have a lot of difficulties on it, and
Mhm.
that works well with our comp.
I gotta ask. We were talking about the Sork boots versus the Merc treads, and we've seen you
Hmm.
go Merc treads both games that you've played it so far. So, what is the thought process behind that? And even though you may be ahead, or even why do you like the Merc treads more than the Sork boots?
So on the Blanc against Rise, the matchup is really tricky because whenever when you W in, he has actually have the time to do E and W, which roots you, and they had Leona. So if I get rooted without Merc's boots, I'll just get ulted and I'll just die. Because they know well I'll come back.
Mhm.
So it's really easy for them to just punish me, and with Merc it's actually really hard for them to come onto me.
So it's more of a matchup specific thing. Normally
Yeah,
you go for the Sork boots if you're going against other champions. Okay, so
yeah.
that's just for the fact that you're playing against a
Mhm.
Rise, so you can set up the route. Okay, that makes more sense. I totally
Yeah.
understand that. But thinking about moving on, you guys are most likely going to be qualifying for playoffs now that you are 5-1. So going into the postseason, how do you kind of reset and say, okay, like CLAW, obviously we didn't do so well. Looking forward into this NACE Star League playoffs, what are you going to change?
I think we'll just stick to like our comfort champs because we've been trying a lot of cheesy picks, cheesy like plays as we saw in the invade and the second game, but we'll just stick to our game plan, and that's something we used to have a lot of difficulties where we just go for greedy plays. So we'll just take it simple and go forward.
For sure. So that's going to be it for the interview. Thank you very much, Sephiroth, for coming out and talking to us. We're looking forward to seeing him perform in the NACE Star League playoffs starting next week.
I believe so, yes.
Week? Okay, so next week we'll be starting. We'll see him off. But thank you for the interview. We appreciate it. We love seeing your games, and you popped off on that Cinder. That was nasty.
Congrats.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so that is going to be it for the interview. And, I mean, you can watch some more of Sephiroth and the boys next week, watching, and I think playing on Friday as well, if I'm not mistaken. NECC on Friday. So you can watch some more of Sephiroth and the boys on Friday. But any final thoughts on the series?
That was painful for me to watch as an ADC main, just get everybody one shot. Like, I felt that in my soul.
Yeah, that's Syndra.
That was the best game that I've ever watched St. Clair play, and I'm extremely proud of them and proud to be a part of the school.
Yeah, for sure. That was a very fun series to watch. You know what else is fun to watch? Anime.
Worlds! Oh,
Worlds, yeah. What
okay.
I was gonna say. It was a segue into the sponsor.
Well, listen.
But so Crunchyroll is going to be our new sponsor for this year. You can get a 14-day premium trial for free at crunchyroll.com/saints. And make sure to check them out. They got anything you want, manga, anime, whatever you watch, it's on there. So check them out, crunchyroll.com/saints. I want to thank our other sponsors as well, Tim Hortons, Subway, the SRC, and St. Clair College Alumni Association. And Kaylee, tell them about our merch, because everyone loves our merch.
Our merch, we have some jerseys, we have some jackets, hoodies, and crew necks. We have everything on the website that is at the bottom. Acquire. Acquire.ca/saints. We want everybody to represent our school. Hopefully everybody's a part of it. And we just hope that you enjoy our merch.
It's nice. We got the mask. Really nice. We got the mask going. Everyone got the mask going right now. So
you guys can't tell, but everybody has masks on right now.
We got the mask on. So get yourself some St. Clair merch.
I wasn't the brightest. I didn't wear my jacket today, but trust me when I say this, the jacket's the most comfiest thing in the world, and it even has my name on the back, so I'm extra cool with it.
It's pretty sick. I've been telling people, custom jerseys
are
so sick to wear.
And jackets.
It's so cool to wear. So acquire.ca/saints, but that is going to be it for tonight. St. Clair take the series 2-0 in NACE Star League, and most likely will be going into playoffs starting next week. So you can catch some more league action on Friday and catch them in playoffs next week. But that is going to be it. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow or Thursday. We'll be back Thursday. So
yes. We did it.
We did it. We made it. So John Billbangs Dima, Kaylee K. Jappy.
Yes, that's also my Twitch handle at the bottom.
So come check us out, Twitch, Twitter, whatever website you're on. Check us out at Saints Gaming CA and all those as well. And yeah, have yourselves a good night. Be safe and love everyone.
Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
A bit of damage here from this Aphelios, but we'll be able to back off here. Going to land the stun. Clean's going to come through for this Aphelios. Aphelios not being able to 5 CP coming through as well, but Ehug already going to take out Oland here. Going to transform into the Leona. We'll go for the engage here on Aphelios. So much damage with the CC and Fresh. Going to pick up a second kill and already. Or though, Oland going to take a lot of damage here and be forced to back off, and both of these bot laners going to have to back up, but Ehug, he's looking for blood here, trying to find these two bot laners. Going to go for the W, going to flash for it, will land it. Clean's going to come through, though, will be stunned up, rooted up, but he's going to land the Q anyway. Going to transform into the Aphelios here. Gravitum is available, going to go for the root here, but Sephiroth, he's going to have to ult backwards, though, to try and save himself, because there's going to be a teammate here, Cyber here, no mana, though, so they're going to go for it. Sephiroth going to get the auto attack, will get the shutdown onto the Jarvan as well. Very little HP here in top lane. Ehug going to get Rise there, will transform. Sephiroth trying to walk away, but Calculus is going to calculate that one.
Diego's looking to go in with the Yumi. Nar goes in with the jump and manages to land the stun and gets the Leona. J4 made a mistake of jumping towards them with the EQ. Hopefully they're going to pick up another kill here. The Nar slows, keeps getting autos. Diego ults in and managed to get the kill for LeBlanc.
Looks like engage here in the bot lane. E will land on a Barlow. Barlow will be able to E away. Doesn't have any summoner spells except for that cleanse. Cleanse does end up being used and rooted up as this Leona. She's going to be coming down here in just a second. W just barely going to save her for the moment, though. That means the engage is going to come down onto Lynx here. Lynx will go down with the exhaust. That's going to mean she's going to E in.
Yeah, 100%. No way that she doesn't.
Yeah, I think at this point you have so much confidence there. It's going to be a 2v2 here in the top lane. Flash going to come through. Going to go for the ult here in just a second. Waiting out that, but that's going to be an engage right into two people. Cyber again going for this brandish engage. Will cost him his life, and Ricky picking up one.
I didn't even notice that. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I mean, obviously, I think this Leona's going to go for it sometimes. Meanwhile, in the top lane, it's going to be an engage. Chains will land, and Zephyros going to claim Loyal there. Loyal, a little bit too far up there. That's going to be engaged at bot lane. Two turrets going to go down, and there's going to be nowhere this gangplank can run to. He will go.
We'll do anything possible to make sure of that.
Yeah, and we see a TP investment to this Herald here. I'm kind of surprised they put all four people here in top lane. Stun going to come through, though. E-Hug on a killing spree. Going to take out that mid laner. Olane going to be the next on the list. Fresh going to take out Aphelios, and that's 3 kills for St. Clair. Civ Stun going to catch all 5 people here. Can they get anything out of it, though? Ignite ticking onto Barlow first. Blood going to go over to Western. Going to pick up a second as well. This is disaster for St. Clair. A double kill for the MF. One finally going to get back in response here. Bro trying to run away from this support. Olan going to land the second Q there on. Barlow's going to be taken down here by Cyber. Just overextending there in the fight after. E auto is going to come through here in just a second. Oh, W for the prediction, but actually no.
God.
He's going to be able to escape. Ricky going to take down Cyber. TP coming through as well. This is disaster for Western. This is going to be a W coming through. Fresh will be taken down here, but will be traded out for Cal B3 here. Stun going to come through onto the Amumu, and the Amumu will be taken down here. Oh, ult going to come through. Bullet going to take down Diego. Going to shut down his answer back with a shutdown onto E-Hug there. Ricky and Barlow so low here. Going to go for the stun though. We'll get Zephyros finally going to pick up a kill for St. Clair. That's going to be an ult coming down, and double kill for the Syndra Q. Going to come through, and they're going to one apiece still. And I mean, ooh, there's going to be a engage here in the mid lane. It's going to be Cypher going for Fresh. Fresh going to throw up the shield. Going to go for the ults here. Cleanse will come through. Lynx trying to live. Does manage to flip for a second, but E-Hug finally going to take him out here. Craziness happening in the mid lane set. Going to go for the W here. Not even going to get it off though. Barlow going to get that set. That's going to be a flash out of Oland, and again St. Clair winning. He goes for the flash E and executes that. That's going to be a huge bullet time. Going to catch 3 people. Not going to do enough damage. Finally, Oland going to take out E-Hug there, so it's going to be 1-for-1. Fresh down to very low HP here. Will be taken out as well. Stun going to come through. Ricky doing so much damage. A triple kill for Zephyros here, and they will clean up this fight. 4 down.